Namaste students, welcome back to Biology Bridge course. So in the previous sessions we have discussed about various concepts, that is various kingdoms under living organisms, and we have also discussed in detail about each and every kingdom under living organisms, especially the 5 kingdom classification. And I hope all the concepts we have discussed earlier is clear to you. And now we will discuss about the morphology of flowering plants. So flowering plants are a division under kingdom Plantae, that is included under division Angiospermae. So Angiospermae includes plants that exhibit a unique property of flowering. Okay. So in this chapter we are going to discuss about the morphology of flowering plants. So morphology is studying the external features of the plants. So here we are going to study about the root, the stem, the leaf, the inflorescence, the flower as well as the fruit, and then we are going to study some of the terminologies that are regarding to morphology of flowering plants. So first we will discuss what is morphology. Okay. So morphology deals with the study of shape, size and structure of the plant body. Okay. Only studying about the external features is known as morphology. So flowering plants are generally called as angiosperms, and flowering plants or any of the plants has got an axis with an underground system known as root system, as well as the aerial part of the plant body known as shoot system. So a plant body can be categorized into two systems, that is the underground root system as well as aerial shoot system. So in a plant body there are two different kinds of or two different parts of the plant body. So some of the parts of the plant body are considered as vegetative parts, but certain other parts are considered as reproductive parts. Now we will see what are those parts of the plant body that are considered as vegetative parts and what are those parts of the plant body that are considered as reproductive parts. So vegetative parts of the plant body are the root, stem as well as leaf, whereas reproductive parts of the plant body are the flower, the fruit as well as seed. So now we look into a image of mustard plant which clearly shows various parts of the plant body. You can see the root system, the underground root system, the aerial shoot system and various parts of the plant body, that is vegetative part as well as the reproductive parts. And the plant body shows leaf, stem, fruit, flower, node, internodes, bud, and in the root system you can observe primary root as well as secondary root. So first we will discuss in detail about the root, its functions as well as certain modifications in the roots. Okay. So root is an underground part of the plant body which usually originates from the radicle of germinating seed. If you have observed the germinating seed, you might have seen the sprouts emerging out from the germinating seed, and the sprouts that is emerging out from the germinating seed has got two parts, a radicle as well as the plumule. Okay, the embryonal axis will be having two parts, a radicle as well as plumule. The radicle will develop into root system or the future root, whereas plumule will develop into the future shoot. So there are mainly two types of root system. They are taproot system as well as fibrous root system. So taproot system is mainly seen in dicotyledonous plants, whereas fibrous root system is seen in monocotyledonous plants. So now let us see what are the functions, general functions of the root. So root has certain functions to perform in the plant. Okay. Some of these functions are fixing a plant body to the soil or adhering of or anchoring the plants to the soil, to hold the soil particles such that the plant can be fixed properly in the soil, as well as soil erosion can be prevented. And roots also has a major role to play of absorption of water and minerals from the soil. So in addition to these general functions, roots also have certain specific functions to perform or specialized functions to perform. Okay. So these are the two kinds of root system, taproot system as well as fibrous root system. So in what type of plants have got taproot system? Dicotyledonous plants have taproot system, whereas monocotyledonous plants have fibrous root system. Now we will see what is modification of root. As I mentioned earlier, plants have got certain general functions to perform. In addition to that, they also perform some specialized function. So to perform the specialized function, the root has to change their shape as well as structure, and then they will become specialized to perform various functions. So such a root which has changed its shape as well as structure and it has become specialized to perform specific function can be called as modified root. Okay. We will see some of the types of modified root or some of the specialized functions that are performed by modified root. So modified root can perform specialized functions like storage, support, respiration, etc. So storage of food. Usually in certain plants, the primary roots become very thick and fleshy mainly due to storage of reserve food material. So such a root which has become thick and fleshy and stores reserve food material is mainly a modified root for storage of food. For example, radish, beetroot, carrot, they are the modified roots and they store large amount of reserve food material, and we usually use this as a vegetable. It is a modified root which has got large amount of reserve food material. Now coming to the other function of modified root, that is support. Okay. So there are certain plant body where the roots are modified in such a way that they give additional support to the plant body. For example, there are roots known as stilt root in case of sugarcane as well as maize. So the stilt roots give additional support to the plant body. If you might have observed sugarcane. In sugarcane there are various nodes, and especially in the nodes of the lower nodes of the plant body, roots arise, and that roots usually grow inclined and they touch the surface of the soil and then adhere to the soil. So such kind of roots are known as stilt roots and they give additional support to the plant body. There is one more kind of root that gives support to the plant body, that is known as prop root. Prop root is seen in banyan tree. So we also call them as pillar roots. So in banyan, you all might have observed banyan tree, and in banyan tree you might have seen from the stem the roots arise. Okay, roots arise from the stem and they will be hanging downwards and they grow vertically downwards and reach the surface of soil, or they touch the ground and then fix to the ground. Okay, so such roots give additional support to the plant body. So they are called as prop roots or pillar roots. So next we will see one more function of modified root, that is respiration. So there are certain plants, especially the mangrove plants, for example Rhizophora, which have got the modified roots that are particularly meant for respiration process. Okay, so such roots which help in respiration, they are called as pneumatophores, and they are also considered as breathing roots because they help in respiration process. Okay, so they take up oxygen and they help in respiration. So these are certain additional functions or some specialized functions performed by the modified roots. So these are some of the or images of the modified root. The prop root of banyan tree, asparagus where the root is modified for storage of food, and here the turnip, carrot as well as sweet potato where root is modified to store the food, and these are the roots of mangoes, especially the Rhizophora, and these roots vertically growing upwards, they are called as pneumatophores or breathing roots. Now let us discuss another part of the plant body, that is stem. So stem is the aerial part of the plant body and it usually supports or bears various parts like branches, leaves, flowers and fruit. The stem also have nodes as well as internodes. So let us see the general function of the stem. So stem usually holds various parts of the plant body like branches, leaves, flowers as well as fruits. In addition to that, stem plays an important role in conduction of water, minerals as well as food to various parts of the plant body. Okay, so the stem conducts water, minerals as well as photosynthase. Here the term photosynthase indicates the food that is synthesized during photosynthesis. So that is termed as photosynthase. So in which direction photosynthase are transported or conducted? Photosynthase are transported from leaves to various parts of the plant body, whereas water as well as minerals are transported from roots to aerial parts of the plant body. Okay. So the same way how roots are modified in certain plants, stem is also modified to perform specialized function. So in certain plants, the stem has changed its shape and structure such that they can perform specialized functions. So such a stem which is modified to perform specialized function is termed as modified stem. Okay. So even the modified stem can perform specialized functions like storage of food, support, protection as well as vegetative propagation. Okay. So now we can go through the various parts of the stem. So stem, as I told, stem has got nodes as well as internodes. It is in the node the leaves arise, and in between the two nodes the part of the stem or the axis is known as internodes. Usually leaves do not arise in the internodes, leaves usually arise in the nodes. Now let us see about modification of stem. So generally there are three different types of modification of stem. They are underground modification of stem, subaerial modification of stem as well as aerial modification of stem. So first we will take some examples of underground modification of stem. Okay. So some of the examples of underground modification of stem are rhizome, bulb, tuber. So rhizome is seen, it is a modified stem for storage of food, especially in ginger, turmeric. So remember that ginger and turmeric are not the roots, they are the modified stem. Even though they are underground, they are not the roots, they are modified stem. Next, bulb. Example for bulb, onion, garlic. And example for tuber, potato. So potato is also a modification of stem, or it is a modified stem. It is not the root, it is a modified stem which stores the food. So these are the examples for underground modification of stem. Now let us take some examples of subaerial modification of stem. Okay. So subaerial modification of stem means the stem that are usually found on the surface of soil. Just touching the soil or on the surface of soil is known as subaerial modification of stem. Okay. So examples for subaerial modification of stem are runners, offset, suckers. Example for runners, oxalis, or if you can't identify what is oxalis, just go and observe the grass plant. In grass plant, you know that the grass usually spreads to various locations mainly with the help of the subaerial stem. So the horizontally growing stem, it can reach various locations or niches and then they can grow into a new plant body. So that is subaerial modification of stem. Example, oxalis or grass. Offset, example, pistia. So pistia is a hydrophyte, that is a plant that grows in water. So such hydrophytes usually produces or usually forms a stem, that is modified stem, which usually grows horizontally on the surface of water, and in the next node of the plant body or the next node the stem produces again a new plant body, and we call that modified stem as offset. And suckers in case of banana as well as pineapple. You might have observed that if you plant a single banana plant, it produces fruit, and after fruit is formed again it will not grow, right? So, but in that particular place, even though if you do not plant a new banana plant will arise. So that is mainly because of the subaerial modification of stem, that is sucker. Okay, so if you plant one banana plant, it produces fruits, and then no need of again replanting the banana plant. It produces or it forms suckers such that new plants arise there, and that is a modification of stem. Okay, so next we will see what is aerial modification of stem. In certain plants, the aerial part of the stem is modified such that it performs some specialized functions. Okay, so some of those aerial modification of stem are stem tendrils, thorns, cladode, as well as phyllodes. So stem tendrils are commonly seen in climbers, especially cucumber plant as well as watermelon. Okay. In cucumber or watermelon, you might have observed there will be some coiled structures, green coiled slender structures. They are nothing but the stem tendrils. So whenever these coiled structures, when they come in contact with the supportive plant, they coil around that supportive plant. Okay. So such modified stem is known as stem tendril, which gives additional support to the plant. And next example is thorn. So you have seen thorns in citrus plants, rose and Duranta plant. In citrus plants as well as rose plants, these thorns are mainly formed and they are the modified stem. And why such stem modification takes place in such plants? Mainly to protect the plant from any of the predators. Next, coming to cladode. Cladode, we have seen the image of asparagus, right? During root modification, we have seen the image of asparagus. Even in asparagus, there is root modification as well as stem modification, and stem is modified to form a structure known as cladode. And one more example is phylloclad. It is seen in Opuntia as well as Euphorbia. Opuntia, the common name of Opuntia is cactus. So you all might have seen the cactus plant. In cactus plant, the stem is somewhat thick as well as fleshy, and such a thick fleshy stem of the cactus is usually called as phylloclad. And the stem has a specific role to perform here, mainly storing the water as well as it performs photosynthesis. Because the leaves are modified in case of cactus plant, the stem has to perform the function of photosynthesis. So these are some of the examples for modification of stem. Rhizomes, they are the stem tendrils, spines or thorny structures formed, which are mainly the modified stem, as well as this is an example for runner. Now let us study about the structure leaf. So leaf is a lateral flattened structure of a plant, and this leaf is usually green in color and it has got a specific pigment known as chlorophyll. So because of the presence of chlorophyll pigment, the leaf is green in color. And this, the general function of the leaf. The main function of the leaf is to perform photosynthesis and synthesize the food as well as conduct the food or transport the food to various parts of the plant body. Okay, so leaf is a lateral flattened structure of the plant, and in most of the plants it is green in color. Why it is green in color? Due to the presence of a pigment named chlorophyll. So next let us see what are the parts of a leaf. Okay, so each leaf mainly has three distinct parts. They are leaf lamina, petiole as well as leaf base. So next we will see what is venation. So venation is the arrangement of veins and veinlets in the leaf. So you have seen veins and veinlets in the leaf. They are arranged in a particular order in different kinds of plants. So this arrangement of veins and veinlets is termed as venation. So generally there are two kinds of venation. They are reticulate venation as well as parallel venation. Reticulate venation is seen in leaves of dicot plants where the veins and veinlets are arranged in such a way that they form network-like structure. So this is known as reticulate venation. Whereas in case of parallel venation, the veins as well as veinlets, they are arranged such that they are parallel to each other. Vein and veinlets are always parallel to each other, and such kind of venation can be seen in leaves of monocot plants. So this image shows various parts of a typical leaf where the leaf has got leaf base, petiole as well as leaf lamina. Okay, and these are the images of reticulate venation as well as parallel venation. So next we will see what are the types of leaves present in plants. So generally there are two types of leaves present in plants. They are simple leaves as well as compound leaves. So simple leaves usually have their lamina which is single or it is undivided. So if the leaf lamina is single and if it is undivided, such a leaf is known as simple leaf. For example, hibiscus leaf. You all have hibiscus plants at home, and the hibiscus leaf is a simple leaf. It is single leaf and it is undivided or it is not divided. Next we will see what is compound leaf. In compound leaf, the lamina is fully divided such that many clear segments are formed, and all these clear segments or each segment is known as leaflet. So such compound leaves are seen in curry leaves, in neem plants or neem leaves. In curry leaves, you might have observed curry leaves. Curry leaves has got a long axis, and on either side of the axis there are many small leaves. They are not the leaves, they are the leaflets, and the entire curry leaf having many leaflets is a single compound leaf. So next we will discuss on phyllotaxy. So term phyllo refers to leaf. So phyllotaxy is arrangement of leaf. So phyllotaxy is arrangement of leaves on branch or on the stem. So generally there are three different kinds of phyllotaxy found in plants. They are alternate, opposite and whorled. So alternate phyllotaxy, as the name itself indicates, the leaves are arranged alternate to each other. And I have showed in the previous image that the axis or the stem of the plant has got node as well as internode, and I told that clearly that leaves usually arise in the node. Okay. So in case of alternate phyllotaxy, in each node of a plant only single leaf arises, and the next leaf arises in the next node, but it will be in alternate position. So one leaf will be directed to one direction, but in the next node it will be directed to other direction. So leaves in a single node, single leaf arises, and in the next node again one leaf arises, but they are alternate to each other. So such an arrangement of leaf is known as alternate phyllotaxy. So it is seen in sunflower plant. So next we will see what is opposite phyllotaxy. In opposite phyllotaxy, in a single node, two leaves arise, and these two leaves are arranged opposite to each other. So such leaves are seen in ocimum plant. Ocimum is tulsi plant. In tulsi plants, two leaves arise in a node and they are directed opposite to each other. Next, whorled phyllotaxy. In whorled phyllotaxy, in a single node, more than two leaves arise and the leaves are arranged in circular manner. So it is termed as whorled phyllotaxy. Example, in nerium plant. Okay, so these are three different kinds of phyllotaxy seen in plants. So you can see the image of various kinds of phyllotaxy. This is alternate phyllotaxy where leaves are alternate to each other. Opposite phyllotaxy where leaves are opposite to each other and two leaves arise in a node. and this is whorl phyllotaxy, where in a node there are more than 2 leaves, and leaves are arranged in a circular pattern. Okay, and this is the image of compound leaf. This is a curry leaf where there are many leaflets. Okay. So next we will see about modification of leaves. So leaves are modified. So the general function of the leaf is to perform photosynthesis, but in certain plants leaves are modified such that they can perform other specialized functions. Okay. So we will see what are those modified functions that can be performed by the modified leaf. So leaf can be modified, leaves are modified in certain plants to give additional support to the plant body. For example, tendrils. So tendrils, leaf tendrils are mainly seen in pea plants. In pea plants, one of the leaf or the terminal leaves will be modified to form coiled structures such that this coiled structure will, whenever it comes in contact with the supportive plant, it will coil around the supportive plant and it gives additional support to the plant body. So such structures or such modified leaf which gives support to the plant body is known as leaf tendril. Okay. Next we will see what are spines. So spines are small sharpened structures which are mainly found in plants like cactus or opuntia. In cactus, you might have seen very small sharpened structures, and these sharpened structures are mainly the modified leaf. Here leaf is modified mainly to give defense or protection to the plant against the predators. And it has got one more role to perform. In case of cactus, the spines usually minimize the transpiration process as well as it gives defense to the plant body. Next, for storage. So in certain plants, leaves are modified such that food is stored in the modified leaf. For example, the common example for leaf modified for storage is onion. The onion, the part of the onion that we usually use for cooking or which is edible, that is a modified leaf which stores large amount of reserve food material. So you can see the images of leaf tendril of pea plant, spines seen in cactus, as well as the fleshy leaves which usually stores large amount of reserve food material. So next we'll move on to another part of the plant body, that is inflorescence. So inflorescence is the mode of arrangement of flower on the floral axis. So usually flowers are formed on the floral axis. So if there are many flowers formed on the floral axis, they will be arranged or clustered in such a way that it forms an inflorescence. So inflorescence mainly are of two kinds. They are racemose inflorescence as well as cymose inflorescence. I repeat, racemose inflorescence as well as cymose inflorescence. In racemose inflorescence, the floral axis is the axis which holds the flower. The floral axis continues its growth. Okay, it doesn't show any limited growth. It continues its growth, or it has got unlimited growth. And after unlimited growth or after continuous growth, flowers will be formed and that flowers are arranged in a specific order. So such an inflorescence is known as racemose inflorescence, or it is also termed as indefinite inflorescence because the floral axis has indefinite growth. That means it shows continuous growth. Now coming to cymose inflorescence. In cymose inflorescence, the floral axis shows limited growth. It grows for certain length and then it stops its growth and a flower is formed, and then the flowers are arranged in a specific order. So usually in cymose inflorescence, an older flower will be formed at the tip and younger flowers are formed towards the base. Whereas in case of racemose inflorescence, older flower is formed at the base and younger flowers are formed towards the tip. That is the main difference between racemose as well as cymose inflorescence. Okay. So next we'll move on to, so these are the images of racemose as well as cymose inflorescence, where you can clearly make out the racemose inflorescence. The floral axis shows unlimited growth, but here the floral axis shows only limited growth. So next we'll discuss about flower or single flower that is found in the inflorescence. So flower can be defined as a modified shoot that is mainly meant for reproduction of a plant. So flower is a modified shoot that is meant for reproduction of a plant. So it is a reproductive part of a plant. So flower has various parts. Flower has a stalk-like structure known as pedicel, and tip of the pedicel usually will be swollen, and the swollen tip of the pedicel is known as thalamus. So stalk of a flower is known as pedicel, tip of the pedicel is swollen and it is termed as thalamus. And on the thalamus there are various whorls of a flower. Generally there are 4 whorls of a flower. They are calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. So calyx is the outermost whorl of a flower. So you might have observed the flower, or you can just take a flower and observe various parts or various whorls of a flower. The calyx is the outermost whorl of a flower, which mainly comprises of units known as sepals. So single unit is known as sepal. Many sepals are arranged in a circular manner or in a whorl, and that whorl is termed as calyx. And inner to the calyx there is a whorl known as corolla, and corolla comprises of many units known as petals, and these petals are of varied color. And the third whorl, that is inner to corolla, there is a whorl known as androecium, and androecium comprises of many stamens, and you know that stamen is the male reproductive unit of a flower. And the innermost whorl, that is a fourth whorl or the innermost whorl, is known as gynoecium, and gynoecium comprises of carpels. Carpel is the female reproductive unit of a flower. So now we have discussed various parts of a flower. Flower has got stalk-like structure known as pedicel. Tip of the pedicel is swollen to form thalamus, and on the thalamus there are 4 different whorls of a flower. They are calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Okay. Among these 4 whorls, 2 of the whorls are considered as essential whorls. Other 2 whorls are considered as non-essential or accessory whorls. So we will look into what are those essential whorls and what are the non-essential or accessory whorls. So among the 4 whorls, that is calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium, the outer 2 whorls, that is calyx and corolla, are considered as accessory whorls or non-essential whorls. Okay, because they are not directly involved in sexual reproduction. They just help